In Venezuela, popular and citizen movements continue to mobilize in rejection of foreign aggression while demanding an end to the unilateral repressive measures imposed on the country. The demonstration took place in the vicinity of the Parque Central complex in the heart of the capital. The central event was the inauguration of a mural that, through art, expresses support for the country's political project and its legitimate authorities, who were kidnapped by the U.S. military on January 3rd. With banners in hand and slogans, those present sent a strong message to Washington with phrases such as "Yankee go home" and "Venezuela is not anyone's backyard." Reaffirmed the will of the Venezuelan people to defend their self-determination. In addition, the protesters expressed their support for President Nicolás Maduro and First Lady and Congresswoman Celia Flores. Vice President for Religious Affairs of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Guerra, denounced Tuesday the U.S. intervention in his country and demanded the release of President Nicolás Maduro Moros and First Lady Celia Flores.
We demand on behalf of the Venezuelan people, on behalf of millions of women and men who on July the 28th, 2024 voted for Nicolás Maduro, the return of the constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela and Dr. Celia Flores, who is a deputy of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, 25 years as a deputy and 4 times president of the National Assembly. And that is our victory in the first place, to remain united, not to let anything divide us. It is clear that they will try to sow discord. It is clear that they will try to say things to confuse the people. And when that happens, let's have political and ideological clarity and seek the source for true information.
And during the mobilization, Nicolás Maduro Guerra conveyed a message from his father, President Nicolás Maduro, from New York, where he's being held hostage by the United States, in which he reaffirms his firmness and confidence in the president in charge, in teleSUR Rodriguez.
Yesterday we received a message from him and her, telling us that they are firm and strong, that they are clear about the role they have to play in the struggle, that they have a clear conscience and faith in God and the people of Venezuela, that they trust teleSUR and the team that is in charge, and that they trust us. That was the message they sent us yesterday. They have a clear conscience and are clear about the historical role they have to play now, from where they have to play it at this moment, which will be circumstantial because God has a purpose in life for Nicolás and Celia, because He gives them life and gave them life, and that purpose will materialize in the name of God.
And this Wednesday, Venezuela marks 12 days since its President Nicolás Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores were kidnapped by the United States. People around the world come together to demand their freedom. For almost 2 weeks in Venezuela and in different countries around the world, strong voices have also demanded respect for national sovereignty. Expressions of support and protests have intensified while the Venezuelan government, with acting President Delcy Rodriguez at the helm, is leading efforts in the legal and diplomatic spheres. Likewise, groups of lawyers are taking action before international bodies due to the seriousness of the United States' aggression against Venezuela and even more seriously against international law and order. And in Venezuela, acting President Delcy Rodriguez led a meeting with the military high command to evaluate security and defense plans. The meeting focused on reviewing strategies to guarantee security and peace in the country and took place at the presidential palace. During the meeting, the authorities analyzed strategies aimed at guaranteeing the peace of mind of the population and constitutional continuity. The dialogue focused on the coordination of the various state forces for the comprehensive defense of Venezuelan territory. This meeting reaffirms the executive position to ensure internal order and national sovereignty in the face of current threats and attacks from the United States. And Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez praised the Bolivarian Armed Forces for their work in guaranteeing sovereignty and peace of all citizens amidst the ongoing U.S. imperialist siege and aggression.
Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariano, que tiene su honor militar intacto.
The Bolivarian National Armed Forces has its military honor intact, its dignity intact, and the reaction and the determination, their emotional balance, their loyalty, and I value
como ciudadano venezolano
As a human being, as a Venezuelan citizen, and as a man of arms, what I have here in my heart is gratitude. I have a deep admiration. Venezuela has to continue on its path, and the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, with all their morale, with all their dignity, has to take the necessary steps to guarantee order, social peace, political, institutional, and constitutional order of the country.
The Interlaces company showed high approval ratings among Venezuelans for acting President Delcy Rodriguez and strong rejection of foreign aggression. The figure shows that 79% of Venezuelans have a favorable opinion of the current acting President Delcy Rodriguez, a figure that rises to 92% among Chavistas. While 91% of Venezuelans believe that the country should unite and support Delcy Rodriguez's administration, only a minority believe that she should be opposed at this time. Also, another study conducted by the agency indicates that 94% reject the kidnapping of President Nicolás Maduro and First Lady Cilia Flores, while 95% of citizens oppose U.S. military aggression. And the Venezuelan government reported on the arrival of the special envoy from the United Arab Emirates in Caracas with the objective of strengthening cooperation and investments for the development and well-being of both peoples. In this regard, acting President Delcy Rodriguez stated the following: "We welcome the special envoy of His Highness the President of the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Ali Mohammed Hamad Al-Shanasi, who brought a message of solidarity and cooperation for Venezuela in a meeting aimed to strengthen our bilateral relationship and investment opportunities." And the Russian government reaffirmed its position regarding the condemnation of the illegal attack perpetrated by the United States against the sovereignty of the Venezuelan people on January 3rd. During a press conference, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov stated that U.S. aggression constitutes an attack on the principles of international law and the structure of the United Nations. In this scenario, Lavrov also affirmed that Russia remains committed to its agreements and strategic relationship with Venezuela. The Russian government rejected the unilateral and coercive methods that undermine the sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. In addition, the Minister of Foreign Affairs highlighted the position of acting President Delcy Rodriguez regarding this defense of Venezuela's independence.
Наша позиция остается неизменной. Эта позиция носит принципиальный характер, опирается на
Our position remains unchanged. This position is principled, based on the principles of respect, sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states, whose governments naturally represent the interests of the entire population. And Venezuela was precisely such a state. Therefore, our principal evaluation of the illegal operation conducted by the United States remained. I cannot predict how everything will proceed further. But at this stage, we see that the Venezuelan leadership is defending their national priorities and defending their national sovereignty and the necessity to participate in international relations, precisely as an equal, sovereign, independent state. I very much hope that all interested in relations with Venezuela, including the United States, will reciprocate and also respect these principles, which in my opinion should have a universal character.
And the Chinese government defends the international law of the peoples of the world in response to the recent stance taken by U.S. President Trump. Chinese Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said that international law is an essential tool for resolving disputes and safeguarding global equity and justice. The spokesperson reiterated that the great powers must respect the authority of international laws and fulfill their obligations. These statements come after U.S. President Donald Trump said he would use force in the internal affairs of other countries, such as Venezuela and Iran.
The
international law based on the purposes and principles of the UN Charter is the cornerstone of the current international order and a crucial basis for settling international disputes. Upholding international law is key to upholding international fairness and justice and preventing a return to the law of the jungle. Major countries should take the lead in respecting the authority of international law and fulfilling their obligations under it.
A meeting, very productive meeting, because as you know, on December 2025, just a month ago, we began a process to free persons that were deprived of freedom in Venezuela. That process counted with the leading of Nicolás Maduro, our president, thinking about opening spaces for understanding, living, and tolerance. That process, I want to report that haven't finished yet. That process is still open, and is what we have been coordinated with the justice system in Venezuela, with the institution of justice in Venezuela. This process has had some difficulty that has been assisted about persons that have had serious crimes like killings, narco traffic. They have been, we are valuing crimes against the constitutional order, about hatred, violence, and intolerance. The objective is to open political spaces. That was the one that he set in 2025 when 194 releases were done. Now there are 406 releases that are foreseen in these days. The message is very clear. The message is a Venezuela that is open to a new political moment, that allows the understanding of the differences in the political and ideological diversity, but it must be done with respect to the other. It must be done with respect to the human rights. The hatred message, the violence actions are not going to be allowed. So the law fulfillment will be strict for the Venezuelan people can see reflected a new moment where living, coexistence, and the acknowledgement to the fellow citizen allows to edify a new spirituality, so that it is the information that we want to share, and to be learned that this process is ongoing. It will continue. It is a hard process, and is carried out by the sectorial vice president Diosdado Cabello, that is in full coordination and articulation with the justice organizations in our country, so that go ahead and to be informed the truth, because there always will be the ones who want to fish in troubled river. We have seen organizations that collect from the persons for freedom. They collect money from their relatives for the freedom of their relatives, and we are saying that this is a process that must be clear, that must be, that doesn't have to be with these miseries, and no organizations and ONG has pretended just to sell to the world fake news about Venezuela. That's how we want to come here and say the fruit and product of this mancomunated work between the justice and the government.
Hemos escuchado justamente estas declaraciones de la presidenta encargada de la República Bolivariana de
Where we listen to statements of the acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, providing brief statements to the press to continue to inform the ongoing developments of the political life in Venezuela. We saw the acting president announcing the continuation of the program of the plan that was launched by President Nicolas Maduro in December 2025 to open new spaces of dialogue and tolerance, with the continued release of the studies of people that are currently in prison, the continued study of their cases to see the opportunity to release them from prison and to provide new spaces of dialogue. The acting president Rodriguez announced that to date 406 people have been released as part of this program, in this moment that opens a new moment in Venezuela's political life, a moment that she said has to be of tolerance and of course of the highest respect for the sovereignty and for human rights of all Venezuelan people. We'll have more updates in upcoming news briefs. In Venezuela, popular and citizen movements continue to mobilize in rejection of foreign aggression while demanding an end to the unilateral repressive measures imposed on the country. The demonstration took place in the vicinity of the Parque Central complex in the heart of the capital. The central event was the inauguration of a mural that, through art, expresses support for the country's political project and its legitimate authorities, who were kidnapped by the U.S. military on January 3rd. With banners in hand and slogans, those present sent a strong message to Washington with phrases such as "Yankee go home" and "Venezuela is not anyone's backyard," reaffirmed the will of the Venezuelan people to defend their self-determination. In addition, the protesters expressed their support for President Nicolas Maduro.